Our fourth module is about fats. Fats are basically very essential, except as a source of essential fatty acid, but they are very useful component of the diet. They enhance the taste, flavor, and acceptability of the diet, give satiety value, and are concentrated sources of calories. They form a convenient cooking medium for deep and shallow frying. They stay longer in the stomach and thereby inhibit gastric secretions and are useful in allaying the discomfort of hyperacidity. Some recent studies claim that they protect to some extent against the effects of undernutrition. They also protect vitamins from destruction and help in the absorption of fat soluble vitamins. Fat is readily stored in the body as it does not have to be stored with a large amount of water as is the case with protein. This means that much less storage space is required for fat than for protein, which is why even when protein are available in excess, they are converted to fat and stored in the adipose tissues. For instance, 10 kg of fat can be stored in less than 13 gram of adipose tissues. But if the same amount of energy had to be stored in the form of protein, the corresponding weight of fat-free tissue would be about 112 kgs. The fat stored in the body can be readily mobilized for the production of energy, particularly when adequate amount of the same are not available from food. As in the case of protein, there is a constant turnover of fat in the body. The fat content of food varies from a negligible amount in fruits to more than 40% in nuts. The fat in foods are triglyceride composed of fatty acids and glycerol. The glycerols are needed for the synthesis of sterols and hormones. The blood contains cholesterol from which many hormones are synthesized. A compound from which cholesterol is derived can be converted to vitamin D in the presence of sunlight. This compound 7-dehydrocholesterol is generally present in the skin where it can undergo such conversion. Fat is also the source of certain fatty acids which are essential for metabolism. They are called essential fatty acids. They are linoleic, linolenic and arachidonic acids. Although all three of these are considered essential, linoleic acid is the only one we really need as the other two can be synthesized in the body for the same. Cereals such as wheat, maize and pulses such as Bengal gram contain only small quantities of oil, about 2 to 5%, but this is rich in linoleic acid. Most vegetable oils are rich in linoleic acid, but coconut oil has practically none. Linolenic acid is found in leafy vegetables, seaweeds and algae. As fish live on the latter, fish liver is also rich in these fatty acids. Fatty acids can further classified into saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Now we will discuss about what is saturated fats. Saturated fat is basically solid at room temperature and commonly we called it solid fat, and it comes from animal food, animal sources, for example meat, cheese, milk, and poultry and fish have less saturated fat, although they contain the saturated fat, but the quantity is very less. Saturated fat is also present in palm oil, coconut oil, cocoa butter. This fat is not very healthy for the human consumption because it has the tendency to solidify at room temperature, at body temperature. Saturated fat can raise your cholesterol. A healthy diet has less than 10% of daily calories from saturated fat. Unsaturated fatty acids, which are liquid at room temperature, are considered beneficial fats because they can improve blood cholesterol level, ease inflammation, stabilize heart rhythm, and play a number of other beneficial roles. Unsaturated fats are predominantly found in food from plants such as vegetable oil, nuts, and seeds. Now we will discuss about the types of unsaturated fatty acids. There are basically three types of unsaturated fatty acids: monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, omega-3 and omega-6. What is monounsaturated fats? Monounsaturated fats are basically found in high concentration in olives, peanut and canola oils, avocados, nuts such as almond, hazelnuts and pecans, seeds such as pumpkin and sesame seeds. Monounsaturated fatty acids are equally beneficial for our health, but when comes to polyunsaturated fats, then they are more beneficial because they do not contain more single bonds. When the fatty acid contains a double bond, it is more beneficial for our health. Polyunsaturated fats are found in high concentration in sunflower, corn, soybean, flaxseed oil, walnuts, fish, canola oil. Though canola oil is high in monounsaturated fatty acids, but it is also a good source of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Omega-3 are an important type of polyunsaturated fats. The body can't make these, so they must come from food. An excellent way to get omega-3 fat is by eating fish 2 to 3 times a week. Good plant source of omega-3 fats include flax seeds, we call it alsi in Urdu, walnuts and canola or soybean oil. Higher blood pressure, higher blood omega-3 fats are associated with lower risk of premature death among older adults. Omega-3 fatty acids are very important for our health, and it increase the health of our heart also. So you need to find out that which food contain unsaturated fatty acids. Avoid saturated fatty acids in all the food items. Omega-6 fatty acids are mostly found in liquid vegetable oil like soybean oil, corn oil and safflower oil. Now this slide is very important to discuss, in which I will discuss about the trans fat. But before discussing it, I must discuss about the animal fats. Animal fats, and in particular dairy food, are high in saturated fat. The media and medical profession alike have been telling us for some time now that we should not eat too much saturated fat. And the reason for this advice have been fairly well documented. Many of the degenerative disease of modern men, for example heart disease, stroke, obesity and cancer, have been linked to our large intake of saturated fats, which because of its chemical nature clogs up arteries and interfere with the body metabolism. Additionally, saturated fat impedes the metabolism of good fats. It may also produce insulin resistance, causing the blood sugar control mechanism to fail. This is where veganism have the upper hand. It is fairly easy to remove saturated fat from meat. You either trim it off or cook the meat so that the fat drains away. You can eat less beef, mutton, and more poultry. However, it is different story with dairy food. You are rarely any better off consuming polyunsaturated margarines and shortenings or half fat cheese and low fat spread. This is because of the degree of processing these foods go through. In particular, the process of hydrogenation, where polyunsaturated oils are converted from liquid oil into solid or semi solid fats. Not only do unsaturated oils, the good fats, then become saturated, the bad fats, but these artificially produced substances are not readily metabolized by the body, and nutritional therapists believe that they become toxic to the system. Consumption of hydrogenated fat has been linked to serious disorders such as cancer, heart disease, and other conditions. Another villain in the fat group, if occurring in excess, is arachidonic acid, which interferes with hormonal control and cause inappropriate clotting of the blood. Food rich in this fat are egg yolk, organ meats, for example liver, and fatty red meat. These foods need to be kept low in any healthy diet. Again, vegetarians and vegans benefit here. Furthermore, even unsaturated oils of the very purest quality are chemically unstable and susceptible to damage by heat, light, oxygen, and presence of metals. This instability causes another problem during processing: the production of trans fatty acids. Fatty acids make up part of the fat molecules, and in natural oils and unsaturated fat, these fatty acids exist in what in chemical term is called the cis conformation. These molecules have a variable zigzag shape related to the number of double bonds in the fatty acid chain. It is this shape that gives flexibility to the membrane and other structure of our bodies. When these oils are incorporated into them from the food that is eaten. However, when natural cis form fatty acids are processed, their instability causes a degree of chemical rearrangement, changing them to the trans form. The shape of these fatty acids is very different from those of the cis form, and this weakens the cell membranes, preventing them from engaging fully in the normal exchange of material in and out of the cell. Additionally, trans fats accumulate in blood vessels, and since the body finds it difficult to metabolize them, this is where they stay, collecting other bits of cell debris and excess calcium and forming blockage. So, we should limit the intake of trans fat because it raises your cholesterol. So, eat it as little as possible to avoid any clogging, any blockage in your arteries. Now we are going to discuss about the very important topic, and that is cholesterol. There are many myths about the cholesterol, so here I will discuss in detail and would like to clear your myths regarding the cholesterol. For decades, we have been told that our blood cholesterol level are related to our risk of heart disease, and the only way to reduce the risk is to cut cholesterol containing food from our diet. Fortunately, there is much evidence to dispel these myths. Firstly, low cholesterol diet actually encourage the liver to produce cholesterol while at the same time restricting many important nutrients, for example the lecithin found in eggs, which are needed to control cholesterol level in the body. Lecithin is a substance needed to emulsify fat and render fat molecules small enough to be carried efficiently in the blood to the cells, thereby removing them from the blood. People with atherosclerosis tend to produce very small amount of lecithin when compared to healthy people. This may be because bodily production of lecithin needs essential fatty acids, choline, inositol, and magnesium, most of which tend to be low in low cholesterol diet. Therefore, high blood cholesterol may be more related to lack of important nutrients than directly to the level of cholesterol contained in the diet. Secondly, it is the ratio of LDL, low density lipoprotein, or high density lipoproteins, that is important, and not simply the total amount of cholesterol in the diet that is related to the risk of heart disease. It is the LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and HDL, which is the good cholesterol. Thirdly, if cholesterol of any type is so bad for us, why does our body make so much of it? The reason is, of course, that it is a vital substance. It is the building material of many structural cell components, membranes, and the precursor molecule for the production of steroid hormones. Fourthly, although high blood cholesterol levels are related to heart disease, there is still extensive heart disease in people who have moderate or low levels. Also, in the elderly people over 70, there is little association between high blood cholesterol and death from heart disease, or between cholesterol in the diet and blood cholesterol levels. In fact, more than 80% of the body's cholesterol come from that made in the liver, not from the diet. This is basically the myth. More importantly, patients with heart disease who are instructed to cut down severely on dietary cholesterol and saturated fats tend to eat massive amount of carbohydrates. Frequently, they are of the refined variety and are low in manganese, zinc, magnesium, potassium, chromium, which are the very nutrients needed to nourish a healthy heart. Such foods are usually low in vitamins, which are also required to keep the heart healthy. Consequently, the elevation of insulin level needed by this high carbohydrate diet may lead to the production of more cholesterol. Cholesterol levels are much better controlled by diet that is well balanced in protein, carbohydrates, and essential fatty acids, such as that we will discuss in food pyramid in our further sessions. Whether we suffer from high cholesterol or not, it is important to keep protective HDL high and reduce damaging LDL. Research shows that monosaturates lower LDL and raise HDL. This may be the reason for the vascular protection provided by the Mediterranean diet high in olive oil. Polyunsaturates, on the other hand, lower both type of cholesterol, but at the same time are undeniably necessary for their essential fatty acid content. In addition, the soluble fibers, particularly pectin from fruits and vegetables, are perfectly suited to removing excess cholesterol from the intestine. Now we are discussing another important feature about fats. We have known for decades how our food and drink choices affect our health, our heart, liver, and other parts of our body. Now we are seeing that the same holds true for the brain. Mounting research shows that a healthy diet improves brain performance and preserves brain functions. It makes sense. We know diet choices affect blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol. When any of these levels are off, it can be bad for the brain and increase the risk for stroke, dementia, and decreased cognition. Many people ask if there is a specific diet or special food they should eat for more brain power. It's hard to name exactly which diet is best for the brain, but we now have some clues with research being done on the different diet approaches. For example, Mediterranean DASH diet, which is dietary approaches to stop hypertension, and MIND Mediterranean DASH intervention for neurodegenerative delay diets. All of these diets have common factors. For example, healthy fats such as nuts and fatty fish, limited saturated fats such as butter and coconut oil, plenty of fruits and vegetable, high fiber whole grain and legumes, and very low amount of processed and sugary foods such as fast food, chips, pastries, and sweet drinks. Now let's look at how various nutrients affect the brain. Here we first talk about the fats. Okay, no jokes about fat heads. Did you know about that up to 50% of our brain is made of fat? Fat is very important for proper brain function, but it needs to be right kind of fat. We need to get enough omega 3 fatty acids because these are the essential building blocks of our brain. And they are important for learning and memory. This is one reason that women's prenatal vitamin contain DHA, a type of omega 3 that also found in large amount in fatty fish such as salmon and sardines. Another type of omega 3 is available from plants such as ground flax seeds, shea and walnuts. The fat you want to avoid in large amount is saturated fat such as butter, fatty fish, whole fat dairy products and coconut oil. We need some, but most of us eat these saturated fats in a big quantity. The worst fat are partially hydrogenated fat like trans fat, which I have discussed earlier, which are still found in some food. Also try to avoid mono and diglycerides. These fats have replaced trans fats in commercials, cake mixes and other foods. It's also good to avoid any food that is deep fried because these fats oxidized over time and may damage our cells. So it is very important to remember that don't cut fats in your diet. You have to cut the bad fat from your diet, but the intake of fat is as much important as protein and carbohydrate. And for the proper brain functions, you can't deny the importance of fats in your life. So eat healthy and be healthy. Fats are primary energy source and we must consume essential fatty acids to support the basic functions of our body. Regularly consuming healthy fat is linked with many day-to-day health benefits, including balancing hormones and fighting inflammation. Fats insulate our organs and serve as a structural component of our cells. It also supports immune function, help to regulate our body temperature, maintain healthy skin, hair and nails, and helps us absorb essential fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E and K. Other fats serve as a building block for creating hormones. Consuming healthy fat is also correlated with long-term health benefits such as decreased risk of heart disease. As for the whole weight loss thing, studies shows that low carb diets are correlated with weight loss and weight maintenance. Meaning, yes, you should be eating some fat if you want to lose weight. Furthermore, fat is crucial for helping our brain functions optimally. Our brains alone are comprised of 60% fat, and we typically start our lives relying on fat in the form of breast milk for energy and development. Now we will discuss about the coconut oil. There are so many things which need to be discussed about the coconut oil. In the recent years, coconut oil has grown in popularity. Many claims that it can do everything from supporting weight loss to slowing the progression of Alzheimer's disease. But before accepting these facts, we should thoroughly study about the coconut oil, that what is the chemistry of the coconut oil and what are the harmful effects besides the healthy effects. So let's move to the further explanation. There are two types of cholesterol, as I have discussed before, that high density lipoprotein and low density lipoproteins. Some researchers have argued that medium chain triglycerides, a component in coconut oil, may help boost level of good cholesterol. But at the same time, coconut oil can also increase the LDL, which is low density lipoproteins. So the most important point before taking the coconut oil is the amount which you are taking daily. We should restrict ourselves for 1 to 2 tablespoons of coconut oil each day. If we exceed from this limit, then it will be harmful for us, because the coconut oil contains saturated fatty acids. It is 100% saturated fatty acid, and saturated fatty acid is not healthy for us. But if we take it in small quantity, recommended quantity, then it will be not harmful for you. Coconut oil comes from the coconut on coconut palm trees. There are two main types of coconut oil: copra oil and virgin coconut oil. Although they have similar fatty acid content, but virgin coconut oil contain higher amount of nutrients such as vitamin E and bioactive compounds such as polyphenols. The polyphenols are basically the plant material that have antioxidant properties. Coconut oil has many nutrients that can contribute to your health and to a good diet. It is full of fatty acid that your body needs and may help improve cognitive function, metabolism, and hair and skin health. One serving of coconut oil, that is 1 tablespoon, contain approximately 117 to 120 calories. That is mainly comes from saturated fats. It doesn't have any cholesterol content, no protein. Obviously it is a fat, but the main nutrient and minerals that are found in coconut oil are lauric acid, myristic acid, palmitic acid, monosaturated fats, plant sterols, medium chain triglycerides. Lauric acid is a type of saturated fat found in coconut oil, and in fact this oil contains the highest level of lauric acid in a natural source. But studies have shown that lauric acid travels to the liver and is converted into energy instead of being stored in your body as fat, which could potentially help in weight loss. However, more information is needed to confirm that coconut oil specifically contributes to weight loss. Flaxseed oil is a source of polyunsaturated fatty acids such as alpha-linolenic acid. The alpha-linolenic acid and related chemicals in flaxseed oil seems to decrease inflammation. That is why flaxseed oil is thought to be useful for rheumatoid arthritis and other inflammatory diseases. Research suggests that flaxseed oil does not lower blood sugar or improve insulin levels in people with type 2 diabetes. Taking of flaxseed oil daily for 16 weeks does not improve symptoms of mania or depression in children with bipolar disorders. Early research suggests that taking flaxseed oil daily for 3 months lowered total cholesterol in people with high cholesterol. However, this early research is not reliable. More reliable research suggests that flaxseed oil does not reduce cholesterol level in people with high cholesterol and high triglyceride. When taken in combination with safflower oil, flaxseed oil seems to modestly reduce total and low density lipoprotein. Cholesterol in people with at least one risk factor for heart disease, but the combination of oils that does not seem to work as well as canola oil that has been rich with DHA. There is some evidence that increases the amount of linolenic acid, which means flaxseed oil in the diet, can help to prevent hardening of the arteries. Flaxseed oil contains linolenic acid. Therefore, some people suggest that flaxseed oil might prevent atherosclerosis. Though this assumption seems reasonable, there has been no research yet to prove it is correct. Flaxseed oil is basically comes from the seed of the flax plant. It contains about 50 to 60% of omega-3 fatty acids in the form of alpha-linolenic acid. The protein content in the seed of flaxseed varies from 20 to 30%. Overall, flaxseed oil is beneficial for us, our health. But remember one thing, that whatever you are eating should be in the recommended allowance limit. If you exceed from that limit, then everything will be harmful for you. When we talk about the olive oil, it is basically consists of oleic acid with a smaller amount of other fatty acids including linolenic acid and palmitic acid. About 14% of the oil is saturated fat, whereas 11% is polyunsaturated such as omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Extra virgin olive oil is made from pure cold pressed olives, which can be taken regularly for approximately about 1 tablespoon. Whenever you would like to take the olive oil, always buy the extra virgin, whereas regular olive oil is a blended, include both cold pressed and processed oil, which can be used for the cooking purpose. So the most effective way of taking the olive oil is that consume it in the raw form. Don't heat it up, because if you heat the olive oil too much at a high temperature, then it will eventually lost all its nutrients. So whenever you would like to take the olive oil, take it with the salad or 1 tablespoon early in the morning before having your breakfast. Then it will be beneficial. So it's a better option that consume every oil. Butter is one of the best dietary sources of butyric acid. About 11% of the saturated fat in butter comes from short chain fatty acids, that is SCFA. Butyric acid make up about half of these SCFAs. You can also take butyric acid as a supplement. Now come to the next slide, that is basically about the ghee. Every fat gives us about 9 kilocalories. 1 gram of fat gives you 9 kilocalories. So whichever oil or ghee you are consuming, you are basically taking 9 calories from every type of fat, whatever it is ghee, butter, flaxseed oil or olive oil. But taking different type of oils give you the different blends of fatty acids. Ghee is a lipophilic dairy product with 98.9% lipid. Obviously it is basically from the class of lipids. So consume it on daily basis. It is not harmful for you, but the recommended allowance, but remember the recommended allowance, that is 1 tablespoon or 1 to 2 tablespoon each day. So consume homemade ghee. Consumption of homemade ghee is very important rather than you take the processed ghee. But oil has many advantages and it is very helpful in your digestion, in your as a lubricant agent. We can't deny the importance of fats and oil in our body. So we have to limit ourselves, but we should not stop taking oil in our daily routine. Whenever we talk about the oils and different type of oils from different sources, remember one thing, that every oil has a different classification of fatty acids. Some oils are giving you more palmitic acid, some oil are giving you more myristic acid, some oils are giving you more linolenic acid, some are giving you more butyric acid. So whenever you are using the oil, you should use different oil from different sources, so that you can be able to consume all the fatty acids, because all these fatty acids are essential for you, and these are helpful for your digestion and for your body growth. But if you are consuming only one type of oil from one source, then you might not taking all types of fatty acids. So whenever we talk about the butter, then butter has a very good blend of palmitic acid, myristic acid, monounsaturated fats, mainly oleic acid, and with 3% of polyunsaturated. Now in this slide there is a comparison between ghee and butter. Ghee is clarified butter made from the milk of cows or buffaloes. However, butter is a dairy product made from the fat and protein component of milk. Protein component is basically the casein. Ghee has a higher smoke point, and whereas butter has a comparatively lower smoke point. Ghee has a higher concentration of fat and butter has a lower concentration of fat. Ghee has a slightly nutty flavor and caramelized feel. However, butter has a rich, creamy and sublime flavor. Ghee has more shelf stable than butter due to the hydrogenation, and butter has comparatively less shelf stable. Now this is the tagline, and it is very important to read it. It's very interesting that food rich in mono and polysaturated fats like olive oil, soybean oil, peanut oil and canola oil will lower your heart disease risk. Remember, foods high in saturated fats will not lower heart disease risk, and much research indicate that they increase your risk of heart disease. The second point is very interesting. Don't replace food rich in saturated fats with processed food rich in refined sugar, such as white bread and pastry. It is more harmful for you. Choose minimally processed food with healthy fats, including nuts such as walnuts and peanuts, and fish such as salmon.